Hi everyone, welcome to the tactical group meeting to be held on March the 4th. Just giving you some highlights really of progress made in relation to the strategic plan in advance of the meeting so you have an idea of what we're going to be talking about. So you can see these are the priorities identified in the strategic plan. The strategic plan itself is a lot more detailed than this, but this is just to give you an idea of what our key reference point is. We committed to improving multi-agency arrangements at the front door, and my team and I have been working with the operational managers in Children First and the Police Solutions for Health and Berkshire Healthcare Foundation Trust to improve our communication and effectiveness at the front door. And that work is culminated in a series of 2-hour sessions to devise a new protocol. So that new protocol is underway. It's being drafted at the moment. So considerable progress has been made, but we've learned that this work needs to be sustained and we need to have some sort of forum to continue. And I'll be working with operational managers on that to see how they want to proceed. Okay. This one on children are helped early to prevent abuse. I mean, really, that's referring to the group has actually the Children's ASP group has devised a new wellbeing tool, and it enables a dialogue between the practitioner and parents and carers to reference themselves against the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child, and it's very helpful to help people to open up a dialogue, especially those difficult areas. Now it's being promoted via training and communications, but we haven't really got a really good idea of the impact it's having yet because we haven't had any empirical data yet, but we'll be working on that in the coming year. So this year we've been emphasizing the whole promotion area of it. Next year we need to evaluate its effectiveness. Okay. Now, last year we set about thinking about making sure we raise awareness and raise the profile of child sexual abuse and exploitation. And we thought maybe that might be associated with a possible increase in referrals for CSA. We haven't quite looked at the data explicitly enough on that to see if there has been an impact, but we have actually supported the safeguarding in children education sessions coordinator, Jacinda, who has provided a lot of training and awareness in schools about this, particularly after the peer-on-peer guidance that's been issued by DFE. So that's been really useful. Janine is also leading on developing a conference which involves our local subject matter experts, the designated doctor, the police CAIU, the SARC lead, etc., coming together to bring us all up to speed and refresh ourselves in relation to the GP medicals, arranging them, appropriate expectations of them, and also the CIU Stuart will be providing us with an update on the facilities in the Sexual Offences Act. Yeah, so that's where we're at with that. So we've done everything we can to promote awareness of that. So adult abuse and neglect, uh, the Advancing Safeguarding Practice Group in Adults has early in the financial year looked at the impact of the new triage arrangements. There's a triage protocol they've delivered, and that seems to be having an impact in terms of when the referrals are received, there's an efficient response and people know what to do and how to triage them. However, there's still a high proportion of inappropriate referrals coming through, and work needs to be done about that. And Jane Hitching and Mark Gadsby will probably talk to you about that if there's time at the meeting. Um, this one on improved response to vulnerable people who don't meet the criteria of Section 42, that's really about delivery of the multi-agency risk tool. And Janine continues to provide training with colleagues, with Helen on that, and that seems to be having an uptake. And light bulbs do go off during the meeting as people realise that it's not actually that difficult. And the Mark tool is aimed at for use at people who are working with people who make risky life choices but don't meet the criteria for social work interventions. It's very effective. Big commendation to the police because they are taking the lead and are doing a lot of delivering on this tool, a lot. So they're the biggest user of this and have really taken it and are delivering really well. And we want everybody to use this tool. Um, we wanted to deliver clear multi-agency arrangements for self-neglect on adults, and a work stream is underway. A task and finish group is working on that, so we will start to promote that in the next financial year. Ensure MSP is applied and oversee transitions from DOLS to LPS. That will be contained within the Adult Social Cares report, which will be in your pack. Okay. Now, domestic violence, I won't say much about that because Rachel Axtell, the DA coordinator, is coming to the meeting to talk about the arrangements for DA under the new legislation. There's a requirement that we have a DA board, so she's going to talk to us all about that. Okay. In exploitation, there's been a lot of work underway with the Safeguarding Children from Exploitation group in terms of pathways for children and adults at risk of experiencing exploitation. There's a major report, a really good report in your packs from the Modern Slavery Group. And the new Children First exploitation team has been delivering really well on that. That will be reviewed at some point. We wanted clear transitions arrangements, and the protocol is being developed, and we're hoping it will get signed off by the SCEG on the 9th of March. Not being easy to get that right, but we're nearly there. We also wanted to clarify where we're at in relation to children who are considered to be level 2 in the thresholds document in terms of risk of exploitation, and the early help team in the council are working on that at the moment. Improved understanding of local intel and profiling, and that's really about the MACE. So we're reviewing the MACE to make sure it's able to deliver on delivering support and challenge and support to children who are at the highest risk, and also that it can actually have effective multi-agency arrangements in place to share intelligence and deliver disruption tactics. Okay, so that is underway. The violence priority, Gary will be there, and because I'm not really sure what's happening in relation to the VRU and the Community Safety Partnership, so we get an update on that there from Gary, I hope. So, yeah, that's that. Okay, just a reminder of how these priorities are all delivered and who delivers them. So you get the Safeguarding the Aegis group at the top. You've got the tactical group here, really the monitoring effectiveness wing of the partnership. You've got the Pan Berkshire groups, child exploitation, which Slough leads, policy, and section 11. All these groups are very effective and they refresh themselves regularly. Safeguarding practice review group. Now, the safeguarding is, this SPR is in relation to children, SAR is in relation to adults. The children's one has produced a safeguarding practice review in relation to very young babies, and we have last week revised our recommendations, and we kind of smartened them up a bit because they were a little bit too kind of strategic. They weren't really that practice orientated. So that was a really healthy exercise. So you'll learn more about that in the coming months. Where even though we can't publish because of criminal proceedings, it doesn't stop us from delivering on the learning. So we're just going to carry on and deliver from the learning. It's already been signed off by the SLG, and happy to share that safeguarding practice review with you at any point, subject to the usual rules of confidentiality. The Safeguarding Adult Review Group has just agreed to a SAR report that's just been finished, and we have shared it with you for this meeting because we thought on its journey, on its way up to the SLG, perhaps this group should have a look at it and check the recommendations and see if they're smart enough, because I think it was a very healthy exercise we did with the SPR group, but we did it a little bit the wrong way around. But anyway, we are where we are. So we'll talk about that during the meeting. The Advancing Safeguarding Practice Group in Adults has delivered on, as I say, in the priorities part slide. It continues to deliver. And the children's one, Sandra Davies will be along to the tactical meeting. She'll talk about the data around Children First. and the high volume of data of high volume of children that's coming through the system, and then naturally affecting the child protection plan data and a huge increase in volume there. But there are multi-agency implications for all that data as well, so she'll talk to us about that. And she'll also give us a briefing on where we're at with the multi-agency case audit. There's a lot of learning from that as well. And the case audit has been designed around the 5 priorities. So that's really good. So we talk about that. The Learning and Development Group, Janine, is very busy at the moment planning next year's training. She's also writing the annual report in relation to learning and development, and all those details will be available soon. In the next quarter, really, the next meeting, you'll get all the details on that. It's just helpful for you to know that all of our training is now online. We're still delivering on the same competencies to the same volumes of professionals around the same subject matters, but we vary that depending on the views of members of the Learning and Development Group. So our strategy is largely unchanged, but we have to creatively adapt to the current environment. It means that, for example, level 3 training is broken up into several modules. So it's like a modular approach. So you never spend more than 2 hours on training, but you actually gather up the competence you need over the year. So it really is working very well. Well done, Janine, and all members of the Learning and Development Group on that. I've told you about what the Safeguarding Children from Exploitation Group is delivering in the previous slide. And it will be working on March the 9th on what needs to be achieved next year. The Safeguarding Children Education Settings Group is being set up, as I said earlier, in response to concerns about the children missing education, but also to cover the whole aspect of keeping children safe in education settings. Operational Safeguarding Risk Group is the group responsible for updating the risk log. It's made up of operational managers who provide information on the risk that they're managing at that time and the risk that they think the SLG needs to know about. Okay, so that's how they're delivered. Okay. Okay, this is just a reminder of how the business is managed, really, to make sure we're able to deliver effectively on all the stuff we agreed in the strategic plan. So as you can see, the financial year is divided up into 3 chunks of business. And in each of those boxes and each of those chunks of time, we start off with the subgroups. They report to the tactical group, and the tactical group reports to the SLG. So all the meetings are scheduled to make that possible. Okay, scheduling isn't always perfect. Sometimes we get things a bit out of sync, but most of the time that's the principle of how it works. And then these 3 chunks of business inform the annual report, and the annual report then informs the strategic plan. Now it's important to be mindful that the team makes every effort to ensure that there's no time wasted. You're not removed from your operational responsibilities to take part in partnership meetings and have your time wasted. We confine our agendas strictly to the delivery of the strategic plan and allowing space for emerging issues to arise and be dealt with. So it's very important, though, that you're aware of this, because if you're unable to attend a meeting for any reason and you don't delegate someone to attend on behalf of your agency, then you're going to miss out on a huge chunk of business. And it's hard to catch up. So it's important to attend the business. We have completely stripped away all unnecessary meetings and reduced the number and volume of meetings you need to attend, but we've actually consolidated them with a huge amount of business for each meeting, you see. So it's the only way you can get things done. So yeah, so that's just the point. And we have 2 summits a year, made up of all these people, the members of these groups, to just have a pit stop and think about where we're going, allow time for emerging issues and risks to be discussed, make sure we're incorporating it into our business. And yeah, so that's how the business is managed. So I really look forward to seeing you with my team, and David Pepper will be chairing. So it's going to be a good meeting. Look forward to seeing you on March the 1st, March the 4th rather. Thanks.